right? So people keep asking if my transformation was natural. Like, I get it. I was 90 pounds, hated my body, and now I look like this. But the truth is, the transformation wasn't just physical, and these are 7 steps that changed my body, my mind, and honestly changed my life. So if you're a skinny guy in your 20s who's sick of feeling weak, this video is for you and for you only. Before we dive into that, if you're a skinny guy looking to get more help or want one-on-one coaching directly from me, DM me on Instagram or book a call with the link in the description. But let's get back into the video. Enough with the self-promo. So the first step that changed everything for me was deciding or making a decision over relying only on motivation, right? Because change started the moment that I stopped waiting to feel motivated and the moment that I decided to make a decision to become a new person or a new man, right? And the reason why this is so important and why I have it at number 1 is because this is the biggest thing that's going to allow you to apply these other 7 steps, right? Because if you're in a spot to where you're kind of just sitting there waiting on motivation, waiting on something that's never going to come, and you're waiting for this perfect moment that's never going to happen, your action is it's never going to happen, right? You're never going to actually end up taking the action that you need to become the version of you that you want to be, right? You're just going to be the type of person that says, "I'll wait till New Year's, wait until I lock in, or when I feel it, then I'm going to actually go to the gym, or I'm actually going to start my journey," whatever it may be, right? All of these excuses, waiting on something that's never going to come, waiting for the motivation that's always going to fade instantly, is going to lead to you not taking any action at all, right? But the moment that you start But the moment that you pre-decide that you're going to step into this version of you that you want to be, and you really just kind of detach your emotions from it, is a moment to where everything's going to change, because you're going to go from being this person that's waiting for the New Year's, waiting for him to feel it, waiting to, have some magic thing happen for him to spring into action, to being the person that's like, you know what, I don't care how I feel, right? I don't care if things aren't perfect, and I don't care if perfect, and I don't care if I have no motivation, right? Right? All of these things get thrown out of the window, and because of that, you're able to show up for yourself. And not only that, compared to this version of you that's leaning on his excuses and you just always finding reasons to quit, even if he does end up starting, right? He's always going to end up in this kind of roller coaster to where he's starting, stopping, starting, stopping. But the moment that you pre-decide that you're stepping into this new version of yourself is a moment to where you can consistently grow over time. And now obviously there isn't going to be like a reality to where things are just going to be smooth. Like, you're probably going to get hurt. You're probably going to, have something come up in your life, and you're going to have these little roadblocks in a way. But the biggest thing is, like, over time, you're going to be consistently making more progress compared to someone who's lacking the discipline and really only leaning on motivation, right? He's going to be starting and stopping over and over again. And then eventually he's going to go through this cycle so many times to where he's making progress and then losing it all, making progress and then losing it all, until he gets to a point to where he just quits and then he makes no progress at all, right? And then he's just stuck. He's stuck in the same spot. And if anything, is worse than if he would have never started to begin with, because he put in all this effort and all this time to see absolutely nothing. Versus, on the other hand, when someone pre-decides, or when you pre-decide that you're going to step into this version of you and you're going to show up for yourself no matter what, even if you do have roadblocks on the way, you're going to consistently be gaining, right? And if both of these guys spent the exact same amount of time going after the same goal, which is, let's say, like gain 20 pounds or dial in with the consistency, whatever it may be, right? This person spent 90 days being on a roller coaster because he was leaning on motivation and it was partially showing up for himself, and then ended up wasting 90 days being even more demotivated and seeing nothing out of it, compared to this guy who didn't lean on motivation, didn't, have this thought in his mind where it's like, okay, if things are perfect, then I'm going to. No, he's just going to. So he actually got the result. And because of this, is going to cause a feedback loop to where he's going to associate continuously showing up for himself with the result, and then so on and so forth. And he's going to continue to make progress over and over and over and over time, right? over a time period versus this dude right here, little Timmy, who's trying to, just make excuses or wait for the perfect moment. He's not going to end up ever actually making any progress long term. And he's just going to waste his time, like I said. Second step is choosing to progressively overload versus program. And this goes hand in hand with what I was saying before, because if you choose to program hop versus progressively overloading or training the way you're supposed to be training and looking for the best option or the best magic workout plan over consistency, you're once again sort of leaning on motivation rather than leaning on deciding on who you're going to be. And let me explain. So program hopping is basically if you were to find a program online or a workout plan or whatever it may be, and let's say you have 3-4 options, right? So let's say this is a bro split. Let's say this is PPO. Let's say this is an Arnold split. And then let's say this is an upper lower split, right? So you can be one of two people. You can be the person that chooses to pick one workout for 1 week and then another workout for 2 weeks or another workout plan for 2 weeks and then switch over to this one after this second week, right? And then you're like, okay, I don't really like that one, so let me go back to this workout plan. And then let me go back to this one. And then, oh, maybe I should try this. And then you have this cycle over like a span of 6 weeks in this example to where you're hopping from program to program, right? And the reason why this is bad or the reason why this is going to lead to you not making nearly as much progress as you should be making is because you are unconsciously trying to pick something that's going to be perfect or something that's going to be the most optimal or something that's going to get you the best results in the least amount of time possible, right? And while that isn't inherently wrong to want to progress, you continuously hopping from split to split to split or from program to program to program because you're not seeing the result that you want in such a small amount of time, you're robbing yourself from progressively overloading, right? And all progressively overloading is just like sticking to the same movements and progressively making them more difficult over time, whether that's with weight or with rep ranges, right? And the reason why this makes it so difficult is because 1 week you can have a split to where you do one exercise and then you do another exercise and then you do another one. Let's just say you do, like, for the sake of example, let's just say you do 5. Okay, cool. Now, the problem with this is if you continuously hop from program to program, you have no way to accurately gauge your progression. So you're just going to be in the gym, kind of just trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that. And then ultimately, you're just going to be hopping from program to program so much that you make little to even in some cases, no progress at all, right? And the most simple way to fix this is to just stick to one, right? If you want to gain, if you want to make as much progress as possible, stick to one split for an extended amount of time. So whether that looks like sticking to a split for 3 weeks or not 3 weeks, 12 weeks or 16 weeks, whatever it may be, just stick to it long term. So now you have data from weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of training the same way. So you're able to accurately gauge how much you're progressing, right? And what you need to progress on X, Y, and Z. And you doing this is going to allow you to escape out of this kind of up and down rat race that you can kind of compare it to in the gym to, you just progressing linearly over time, right? Because you're sticking to one plan and you're forcing yourself to get better and working on the small things that you need to work on in order to continuously progress rather than just seeing, this influencer did this. And then, I saw this on TikTok. I saw this on Instagram. I saw this here. I saw this there. Maybe I should try this, try that. And then before you know it, you're going to be in the same spot to where you're making little to no progress. And then your morale is going to be so low that you end up quitting. Now, on to the third step that allowed me to go from this to this. And that's just feeding the machine or just feeding your body. And the biggest thing that you need to understand is that you cannot build a physique. You cannot build the physique that you want, eating the same way that has kept you stuck on this side of the transformation spectrum, right? And this is something that's so obvious, but a lot of you guys just seem to not really grasp just how important this is, right? Because you can train as much as you want. You can train as hard as you want. You can go to the gym, try to progressively overload for a short amount of time, try to, be consistent, do cardio, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, if you're eating freaking 2,000 calories and your maintenance level, let's say for this example, is 2.1K, you're not going to make any progress. If anything, you're going to make a little amount of progress over time and then just plateau at the very best, right? And when it comes to eating, I feel like some of you guys don't understand just how simple it is, right? So let me just break it down. So, like I said, let's say you have a maintenance level, right? Which you do. Everyone has a maintenance level unless you're like not human. And let's say you're what, like 5'10" and you're 130 pounds. Okay, cool. Now let's just say for the sake of this example, your maintenance level is like 2.7K. And all this means is that your maintenance level, or the amount of calories that you need to eat to maintain this amount of weight, is 2.7K calories, right? So what does that mean, Isaiah? It literally just means you have to eat over your maintenance level in order to pack on more size. So what that looks like is eating 3 to maybe even 500 calories over this maintenance in order for you to gain, let's say, like half a pound a week. And then you rinse and repeat this cycle over and over again until you ultimately like get to the desired weight that you want to get to, right? So let's just say like up 20 pounds. And this takes a long amount of time. Like this takes a while, right? But the biggest thing that you guys do is you don't do this. Like you just say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to continue eating the way that I want to eat, right? I'm going to lift weights and then I'm going to get bigger than what I am now. But, I'm just going to continue eating like a rabbit, right? So this is what most of you guys do. A lot of you guys don't track, and you realistically just don't eat. And if you do eat, it's not enough. Okay. And the biggest thing that I struggled with in the beginning of my journey is I felt like I was eating enough, right? I felt like I was eating a lot of food because I was eating a lot of volume, right? And what's volume is literally just like the amount of food, right? So let's say this is a huge plate, it's a lot of volume, and then small amount of volume, right? Like you guys are freaking 20, you should know this, right? But the reason why, like I said, I felt like I was eating enough was because I was eating a lot of volume, but I wasn't tracking my food, right? And so because I felt like I was eating a lot, and I was realistically just wasn't eating enough calories, I got caught in this loop of, force feeding myself and then ultimately hitting a plateau and then just dealing with the consistent frustration of eating, and then just for some reason not seeing the scale move, right? Say that's the scale. And this is the same for like a very long amount of time, right? So like I used to be stuck at the same weight for like months and months on end. And this is super frustrating, especially when you're taking the journey seriously and you don't know why you can't gain or why you're not gaining. And then ultimately you feel like you just can't or you're stuck. And then this can just lead to you kind of giving up on your journey. But the simplest way to fix this, like I said, is to literally just track your food, right? So if you were eating, in my example, like I was eating a ton of volume. I was eating a lot of food, but I realized, let's say I was eating only around like 2K calories with like this sheer amount of volume, right? This simple thing is going to save you so much frustration because now you're going to understand, okay, I'm not gaining because I'm eating at this amount per day. So maybe let me just up this amount to, let's say, 2.3. And then if that doesn't work, then okay, let's up it to 2.7. Okay, cool. We're gaining a little bit. We plateau. Okay, let's up it to 3K and so on and so forth. And then this is going to save a lot of you guys from this constant cycle of frustration to where you eat and then you see nothing and then you eat and then you still see nothing and then you're completely plateaued in your weight, and then your lifts plateau too, and then you're just left being frustrated. You're left in this cycle of frustration, right? So simplest thing is just understanding how to track your food, what to eat, how much to eat, and then just doing that over a long period of time. Now on to the fourth step. And this is ridiculously important. Rewiring your inner dialogue is going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to have to do with this transformation, right? Rewiring my inner dialogue was one of the biggest things that had the biggest impact in this transformation so far. And that's because you're never going to build confidence in yourself with that same voice that tore you down, right? And I've made videos like this in the past, but let's say this is you in the box, okay? And let's say this is before your transformation. Now, before your transformation, you guys know, because you're experiencing this right now, you hear these comments from outside people, right? Like you hear, oh, you're anorexic, you're so skinny, you're so small. Oh, look how small your wrists are. You know, little things like that, like little things that get to you. And then you're also dealing with your internal conflicts as well. And then you hear more. Let's say you go to a pool, go to a beach, people make comments. You see people around you that they're in shape, they're confident in themselves, and then you're just looking at yourself like, oh, I'm not, I'm still stuck, I'm still this, I'm still that. So you have all these outside voices, right? And now inherently these don't really matter, but they do when you allow them to kind of infiltrate your box, right? So like I said, these are your thoughts, right? You're beforehand, or before this transformation, you're telling yourself, I'm stuck, I can't do it, I'm skinny, I'm small, I hate myself, you know, just all these negative things, right? And then you're also hearing all these negative things on the outside as well. And then before you know it, it becomes like an echo chamber of just degrading thoughts, like negative thoughts. And then this is how self-hatred really comes and takes over, because you're constantly thinking this on a consistent basis. And pairing this alongside not taking any action is literally the recipe to hating yourself long term, right? And some of you guys might be in this spot right now. And the biggest thing is obviously taking the action. But once you take the action, understanding that this in itself is going to break you out of this box, as long as you do it the right way. And then you're able to kind of rewire the way that you think. And the reason why this is so important is because if you allow yourself to stay stuck in this box and you never break out of it, you never take action, and you just continuously tell yourself you're not going to change, you can't change, it's impossible, I've tried, but, and then just having all these limiting beliefs, all these negative thoughts, just compound and compound and compound. One, you're obviously going to degrade mentally, right? Like your mental health is going to be on huge decline because you're only thinking negatively and you only view yourself in a negative sense. And this is going to affect literally every single area of your life, your friendship, your relationships, what you do on the outside, how you carry yourself, right? How people view you, how people respect you, and the fact that people don't respect you, like X, Y, and Z. Like you're going to have to deal with all of these things. This isn't just about the gym, like you're going to have to deal with this. And then this is just going to compound more and more and more. And then before you know it, your head is just full of negative thoughts. And this is how you kind of lead to, the depression and like this even like suicidal kind of ideology, right? Or just like really like leads you to like suicide attempts, which, happened to me. But like I was saying before, the reason why this is so important for you to break out of is because one, you need to have some sort of change in your thought process that leads you to taking some sort of action, right? Even if it's something small, like, man, I'm sick of this, I'm capable of making a change. And then you jump into action, so you're no longer in a no action state. And then as you're continuously progressing in this, I guess we could say, different box, right? You're improving yourself slowly, obviously, which is going to have a pretty significant impact in itself. But before you know it, you're going to take action, then you're going to see the progress, and then you're going to slowly start seeing yourself a bit differently, showing up for yourself a bit more, respecting yourself a bit more. and so on and so forth. And then before you know it, it's kind of this upward spiral of you actually being happy with the man that you see in the mirror, right? And that all starts with just action, right? But these are like completely polar opposite, because if you allow yourself to stay on this side of things, then you're only going to spiral down more and more and more. You're only going to respect yourself less and less and less. And you're only going to, be able to take so much over time until you ultimately crack in some unfortunate situation. But when you're able to take action and break yourself out of this box and, get yourself out of this echo chamber of degrading thoughts and, rewire the way that you view yourself or the way that you think, then you're going to be capable to take more action. And then it's just going to be like a flywheel of um, continuous action, feedback loop, seeing the result, being happier with yourself, having more positive thoughts, and so on and so forth. So it's like a positive domino effect, right? And then you tip this domino over, and then it's going to help every other area of your life, so on and so forth. Cool. On to the fifth step. And that's choosing brotherhood over isolation, or friendship over isolation, whichever one you want to call it. And the reason why this is so important is because I felt like I had to suffer alone, or I felt like I had to deal with this on my own or figure everything out on my own. But it turns out that with the right circle, it could actually make you a dangerous amount of progress, right? And this is so easy to overlook. And with this one, I really won't have to draw anything because it's really easy to communicate. If you go down a path to where you're going down unpaved territory, like you've never made this transformation before, you don't really know what you're doing, you don't really know how to do it, like you're trying and this is new, this is semi uncomfortable, and you're trying to embrace this new version of yourself while still shedding this old version of yourself that you hate. And it's a pretty difficult process, and it could be kind of mentally draining, especially not knowing what to do. Now, obviously, if you're watching this, you're getting a bit more direction because I'm literally listing everything out. But the biggest thing that helped me with my journey overall was going to other people for help, right? Like when I first started going to the gym, I had no idea what I was doing. Like I said, I was not doing pretty much any of this. I was looking up videos on Google, or not even videos, images on Google with quote unquote best workouts. Like I didn't know what progressively overloading was. I was kind of relying on motivation for a bit, and I wasn't doing any of the things that I was telling you guys to do, or telling you guys to do in this video now. And it just led to me being frustrated and dealing with a bit of demotivation because I saw these people around me making progress while I just kind of stayed the same. But when I started going to people for help, like for example, one of my first ever, I guess we could say, mentors or gym bros was a guy named Logan. And Logan was significantly bigger than me at the time. Obviously, like I'm 100 pounds soaking wet at the time. This guy was squatting or deadlifting like 405, squatting 315. And I was like, oh man, this dude's freaking crazy strong, right? But the reason why it's so important for you to understand how this is going to benefit you is because I want you guys to think about it like this, right? If I were to continue to, go down this path through trial and error, right? Who knows how long it would have took? Trial, error, 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 still not making progress, still not making progress, still not making progress, blah, 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 right? And obviously people have gone through this already. So what sense would it make for me to go through trial and error for years, like no joke, years, when I could just learn from someone else who's already gone through this trial and error and can collapse this amount of time that it would take for me to get to the same result and learn from them and listen to them, right? And this is exactly what you guys are doing if you actually apply this information from this video. But if you're not getting help from someone, whether it's from me, whether it's from someone in your gym, whatever it may be, blah, 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 you're only extending the amount of time that it's going to take you to hit the result. And there's no benefit of doing this, right? Like some people are super prideful and they're like, oh, I don't like asking for help. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. And then they just end up wasting months or even years out of their life, like I said. But if you're able to find a group of people, find someone, find friends, whoever it may be, people who are ahead of you, and learn from them, tell them what you're struggling with, and, you know, just surround yourself with people who are actively trying to achieve the same thing that you are. It's going to push you, and also is going to, like I said, collapse the amount of time that it's going to take you to figure this out and figure out what works best for you in the process. So really simple. Literally just find people that are on the exact same path that you're on, or people who have already achieved the thing that you want to achieve, and learn from them. Now, sixth step, and this is something that's huge, right? Building up yourself for respect in yourself and not vanity, right? And you guys might ask me, like, Isaiah, what the heck are you talking about, right? But in reality, you guys need to base this journey on something that means something, right? Like you're respecting yourself, for example. And the reason why I put this at number six is because I know that it can be really easy to, you know, want to progress to get back at people, right? Or like wanting to progress to prove them wrong, to get back at your ex, to get girls, to, you know, be scary. Like all these really dumb reasons like could motivate you for, you know, X amount of time. But the sad part about this journey is if you're only basing your motivation, if you're only showing up for yourself for these, I guess we could say, vainful reasons, then once you do achieve it, then you're just going to kind of lose a spark, make a ton of progress, and then realize, man, you know, I really just wanted to, you know, prove my ex wrong, get big so people couldn't talk about me, or like scare people, whatever it may be, like whatever dumb reason, or like, oh, get attention from a girl. This is something that's huge, right? Let's say like the girl example, right? So you're working out all this time, improving yourself. Oh, I want a girlfriend. I want a girlfriend so bad. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, cool. Cool. You want a girlfriend. Let's say 9 months down the line, you get a girlfriend. Now, your only reason to keep going has arrived, right? Like, okay, you've achieved your goal. And what's going to happen? You're going to get comfortable, and then before you know it, you're going to be right where you started, right? And you might say, no, Isaiah, this is a crazy exaggeration. But no, I've seen this with my own eyes, like with people that I've known personally. They put all of these vanities on their list of whys, and the moment that they get it, they completely fall off, right? And the sad part about this, like the girlfriend example, is this woman is going to be with you because, or this woman is attracted to you, or came up to you or introduced herself into your life because of this peaked version of you. Now, if you allow yourself to continuously fall off over and over again, before you know it, you're going to be back at the same spot, if not worse. And then what's going to happen then? Right? You're going to be out of shape. You're going to hate yourself again. And then we're back to square one, right? We're back to being where we started. And obviously we don't want to be there. So like I said, base this journey on something that's meaningful. Like put your why into something that's meaningful, something that's not just vanity, right? Like gaining respect for yourself, like being an inspiration to those around you, being able to help those around you, like being, you know, a version of you that you wish you had when you were younger, you know, like actual good reasons, right? Don't base it off of like, oh, I want to get a girl, or I don't want these people to say these things about me. Because dude, if you apply these steps, you're 100% going to transform, 1,000%. But the moment that you get there and you realize that you kind of made this all about the wrong reason, is going to be the moment to where you're just going to have the realization of where you're like, man, I really don't even respect myself, right? Like I did all this for someone else. And that's just a terrible feeling, right? And that's why I put it at number six. Now, number seven, right? And this is for me personally. Obviously, you guys can do what you want, but having God at the center of your life, or like at the center of really everything. And this is kind of self-explanatory, but when you're, like I said, putting all of this importance on vanities, or all this importance on just your physique alone, is really easy to kind of neglect the other areas of your life. It's easy to, you know, lock in with the gym, quote unquote, and just like ignore everything else, right? But the beauty about, you know, having faith, or putting um, God in the center of your life, really, is that you force yourself to improve in other areas, right? Like you you force yourself to improve in other areas, like I said, right? So not only did I build my body, but like you build your character, you build like your soul. Obviously, your faith is going to grow. And the reason why this is so important is because, like I said beforehand, it's going to be a domino effect, right? Like this transformation isn't just about muscle, and it's never really been about muscle. This is a transformation of yourself completely. Like this is an ascension, right? Like you don't just go to the gym just to get big. Like you don't go to the gym just to have muscles. You go to the gym to respect yourself, right? And that self-respect allows you to show up for yourself in, let's say, your work life or your business, right? And then that confidence that you gain through the gym is going to translate in your relationships, right? And so on and so forth. And that's why I kind of put this in here, is just to kind of solidify this idea that, this, while I may have just told you guys like how to transform physically, this isn't the end all be all. This is literally just the first step into becoming the best man that you can possibly be. And in my life, becoming the best man that God wants me to be, right? So that's really it. Like those are the 7 steps that took me from this to this. And now, steroid accusations, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's it. So, make sure to apply these. Shoot me a text on Instagram, link in my description. If you want more one-on-one help, or just book a call with me through this video. And I have a free training right here. I'll put it at the end of this video. It's an hour long, telling you everything in more of an in-depth kind of way. But love you guys. Jesus loved you too. And talk to you next time.